People who lost their virginity after age 35, or never did. What's your story? I was 35. Fat, no self-esteem. The usual story. I had long since given up on actively looking for dates. I was comfortable being single and had made peace with my life. Then I just happened to meet someone on a bus while on vacation and we clicked. Did the semi-long distance thing for a couple months before properly hooking up. The first time was predictably awkward. She knew what she was doing though, and I've since figured things out. Practice makes perfect and whatnot. Eventually she moved in with me and we got married. Still are. It's not a super interesting story or anything, but you asked for it. Your story gives me hope and glad you found her. I'm in the, or never did, camp. Not much of a story to tell. Just too much of a recluse and lacking self-confidence. So, there was never an opportunity, and a few decades later here I am. No time like the present. Okay, well actually, maybe give it a few weeks. But then, get out there and bang. Never too late. Good friend of mine was in his late 30s. He suffered from some really bad social anxiety and as a result was really awkward in a lot of social settings. After college he would work, go home, practice playing the drums or watch movies. He wouldn't even travel. I invited him on my adventures several times. He would always find a reason to not come. Dude basically worked a good job to make money and build an Ollie home theater. This last year he decided he was going to try online dating and crap went sideways. We all have bad online dating stories. I convinced him to take up recreational sports. He met a girl playing soccer and they have been together for like 6 months and he lost it to her. He's really come out of his shell the last little bit. You sound like such a good friend. Thank you. 30-year-old male virgin. Never happened for me in college. Despite being sociable and having a pretty large group of friends, acquaintances, and being in the type of environment where it should have been easy, I kind of just assumed it would happen at some point. Maybe I would have been more aggressive if I knew what was store for me, lol. Then for most of my early mid-20s was suffering through unemployment and underemployment mixed with the accompanying depression, which made me very uninterested in pursuing relationships, was more concerned with staying alive. Got my first steady 9-to-5 job at 26 but kept putting it off because I was convinced I needed to make more money, establish myself, get my ducks in a row, etc. before anyone would be interested in me. And now at 30, I'm absolutely terrified to put myself out there because I know the virgin thing will come up at some point and I know it's not normal, unless maybe you're religious. Like just imagining having to explain it to someone my age after 2-3 dates. Yikes. So yeah, good times. Edit. Just wanted to say thanks for the kind words and different perspectives. It's encouraging to hear other people's experiences. I definitely think I'm getting a bit too in my head about this, which I have a tendency to do. I'll probably make the decision about whether to disclose or not on an individual basis. I know even if it might make some hypothetical girl uncomfortable, it's not the end of the world and there will be others for whom it's not a big deal. Just have to put myself out there more. Good thing there's a pandemic going on. 48 years old here. Never had anything to offer. Zero self-confidence. Face like an orc. Never even attempted to attract a woman. Never got further than polite conversation. Some people are very into orcs. I'm 40 and still a virgin. Something I never thought I'd be freely admitting on the internet to strangers. But there you go. Basically my parents told me from a really young age that I was ugly and weird and no one would want me. Any boy I did get close with, my mum pretty much scared away within a few days, then told everyone it hadn't worked out because I wasn't interested in that sort of thing. To this day I don't know why she did this. Maybe it was a control thing, or she had some kind of hang up herself. No idea. Of course, people at school picked up on this, especially at primary school since my mother taught at the school I attended and so made comments about my appearance in front of the other students, who gleefully picked us up as prime bullying material. Anyway, upshot was that by the time I left home at 18 and went to college, I was convinced myself that I was ugly and weird and no one would want to go near me. I didn't bother taking care of myself or making any effort because I'd always been told there was no point. So it became a vicious circle kind of thing. I'm by no means a beauty, but I realize now I'm not as hideous as everyone made out. Even when I eventually realized that my mum was nuts and I had to be my own person. The damage was kind of done. No matter how much I try to be confident now, there's always that big bit of me that thinks, do I have a right to use a dating app? When really I'm such a waste of space, or doesn't want to try anything like Tinder or whatever because you need to upload a picture, and a big part of me thinks it'll put people off. People pick up on that lack of confidence when I speak to them IRL, and it puts people off, which then eats away at my self-esteem even more, to the point where I really don't know how to fix this. To make matters worse, I got breast cancer 6 years ago and had to have some pretty extreme reconstruction because of the type of tumor it was and the damage it did. So I'm now covered in scars. The one bit of my body I used to be proud of was my boobs, and now they're completely horrible. I know I've pushed people away, and can think of numerous times when men were hitting on me and I either didn't realize or didn't want to admit it because I was scared I was interpreting things wrongly and would end up making a fool of myself. So I reckon it's self-isolation for me for the foreseeable future. My ex was a 35-year-old virgin. I was 39 at the time, so this would have been about 8 years ago. It just never happened for her. She always thought there would be plenty of time, and next thing you know she was 35 and I was her first boyfriend. I understood this coming in. It came up as a conversation before we became an exclusive couple, and it didn't bother me for the most part. After we were exclusive for a month or so, I thought we would get to at least a PG-13 relationship. Under the bra over the pants. And she said how much it made her feel like a W. I stuck in for a while, but that was nearly a deal breaker for me. There's one thing to be cautious, but if you're that uncomfortable with sexuality, then I started to get concerned. Boy, was I wrong. About a month after that, she was comfortable enough that I performed oral on her. I was content with the thought that this would be our sex life for the next year. A week later she wanted to reciprocate and boom, off to the races. Without giving in gentlemanly details, let's just say the next 3 months were her wanting to experiment with everything that she felt was missing. I had a work colleague who at age 42 is still a virgin. Thing is, she wanted to have sex. She talked about it all the time. She wasn't religious. She didn't want to be married first. She didn't have any reason to not have sex. She just said it just never happened for her, and then as she got older and older it got harder and harder because potential partners thought it was weird. She's a pretty attractive woman too. I spent too much time studying while in school and forgot socializing was a thing. This now led me to my current predicament where I have a high-paying job but no one I could call even a friend, let alone a LOL. Bruh, that sounds awful. If the thought of having a friend is tempting enough, start trying to get one. Find a club with your interests, or go on trips to explore your hobbies more. You'll find people along the way. I have a friend like this. He's 45. He had an inane list of criteria a woman must meet before he even dates her. It may have been plausible when he was younger, but now I wish him good luck. LOL. 42-year-old virgin. Always been an introvert. Never got out much. Now I fear I've just missed my chance. Man, there are 90-year-old dudes and ladies out there rocking the van. Don't give up. You haven't missed your opportunity. 29/M. I had so much anxiety about myself and low self-esteem issues that it took until August last year for me to even go on a couple of dates. Ultimately it didn't work out. She didn't want to be with someone who had a lot of learning to do, and frankly with the bustle of work, hobbies, socializing and self-care, I kind of forgot about pursuing a relationship until now. Not me. My BF was 35 when he lost his. I was his first. I, on the other hand, is a divorcee. He is an introvert and quite awkward in conversations. The only reason that we got to know each other well was because I rented his Airbnb room for 2 weeks. Nothing sexual happened during that time. We just got to spend time talking and doing some hikes together. The tension was undeniable, but we stayed decent to each other as we both didn't want to do anything to spoil the bond we have slowly created. We became friends first. And now after about 2 years of having a long distance relationship, we are living together. That actually pretty cute. I lost my virginity at 35. I've always been overweight and a constant fear of rejection kept me from dating most of my life. Almost exactly a year ago I just said frick it and downloaded Tinder. I went on a few dates before meeting the love of my life. She was only a little more experienced than I was, and never showed signs of surprise or made me feel weird about being so inexperienced. I intend to propose on the anniversary of our first date. For the people posting saying their chance has passed, it's never too late. I got to the frick it and download Tinder stage, but this soon led to a frick it and uninstall Tinder stage. F32. Currently virgin. Religious background. That is what has led to this situation. Living in a small city. Don't want to use Tinder here. And just have not met anyone yet. Non-existent social life. I had a trip planned next weekend to another country to see someone and very likely to have sex with them. Not going to happen now because of corona. I can reschedule my flights, but he won't be in that country after this month. Whoa. Dong blocked by COVID. That's rough, buddy. Extremely reserved. Extremely shy. Very low self-confidence. Very anxious. And to top it off, I'm trying to recover from a bad depression. I've never dated before, and trying now would be a terrible idea. 29-year-old F here. I'm pretty sure I'm asexual or something. Even as a teen, I never put sex up on a pedestal. It was never something I absolutely needed to get right now, even with me having hormones. Probably doesn't help that I'm introverted as heck, antisocial, ugly, and have zero self-esteem, but in all honesty sex has just never interested me. TL. DR. I just never cared enough about it to try to get some. My friend is a 35-year-old virgin. He is open about it and is saving himself for marriage, for religious reasons, and marriage just hasn't happened for him. He actually has a really active social life, gets out a lot, dates here and there, but the dates don't usually seem to pan out. He hasn't been in a LTR for ages and nowhere close to marriage. He still lives with his mom, which is understandably a deal breaker for lots of women he has dated. He also has admitted that over the years he has become bitter and has some anger towards women in general that he is trying to come to terms with. He knows he needs to let go of that anger before he stands a chance at dating successfully, and he still plans on saving sex for marriage. F35, lost it just a few months ago. Plenty of details in my posting history for those who are curious. I became painfully shy as a teenager and just couldn't socialize with people, and especially guys, outside my small circle of friends. As time went by, I just accepted that it probably wouldn't happen. There's nothing really wrong with me, and overall I was very happy with every other aspect of my life. I just never had any success with men. Romantically, most of my friends are guys. I didn't date, ever. I never put myself out there, and if someone approached me, my immediate response was to withdraw. But about a year ago I started to hang out with a few of my new co-workers and I became pretty good friends with one of them. And one thing led to another. I'm still kind of in awe that it actually did happen and that it doesn't feel weird that I'm suddenly having sex. Not me, but a guy at work. Never had a girlfriend. Never got jiggy, but not for lack of trying. Loved his cam girls, but we eventually convinced him to hire a hooer. He didn't hate it. I'm sure you spelled H wrong, but hooer reminds me of Frank from Always Sunny. In India, your parents get you so and eagerly wait for you to lose your virginity. That's how we have 1.3 billion of us. In India, your parents get you so and eagerly wait for you to lose your virginity. And then there's the academic kid's parents. No girlfriend till you have a job. Even then after you're settled. Certainly not in college. Not 35 yet, but 28-year-old virgin here, and by the looks of it I'll probably remain that way till 35. Haven't even kissed anybody yet. Basically a combination of ugly face, objectively, balding since 18 and now completely hairless on the head, lack of confidence from all the rejection, other issues such as social anxiety, etc. Still have very little hope left, so I haven't taken the sex worker route. OBTW, lack of intimate human touch can make you feel completely dead inside. Frick my life. I just want to say, whether it's by choice or not, there is nothing shameful about being a virgin. Everybody's path is different. I don't find myself ashamed of it. More so disappointed that I never reached that level of having a woman consider me attractive before. I think it was worse after I spent years making a conscious effort to improve myself and make myself the most attractive person I felt I could be, and still coming up short. I understand it isn't vital, but it does suck to have to come to terms with it. Christian, ergo waiting for marriage. Unattractive and not very confident in that area anyway. Pretty okay with being single. I'm 26, so not nearly as weird, but I've never even asked anyone out. Forget about sex. Yes, I'm religious, but that isn't really it. I don't think there is any biblical taboo against sex before marriage. Honestly, I just always felt like I've had better things to do than try to get laid. I know, blasphemy, but in high school, it was going to a good college. In college, it was balancing 2 majors, a minor, work study, and 3 clubs. After that, it was grad school, then being financially stable, I guess. I'm not sure when I'll feel like I'm ready for a relationship, but I'm a little afraid of putting myself out there at the same time. You are never going to feel ready. It's all about learning in the way. Just shoot your shot. Remember, nothing really matters and we are all gonna die. I was a 32-year virgin. I'm 36 now, married for almost 2 years and have a 1-year son. Things can change and can move fast when they do. I actually indicated my virginity in my OkCupid dating profile. Well, it did ask. My wife, hot date at the time, asked me if it was legit, and I said it was. She just said okay, and a few days later, no longer a virgin. I think honesty and not putting your sexual experience virginity on a pedestal goes a long way. Anyone who wants to judge you solely on that isn't worth your time anyway. I'm 24/F, not that old yet, but I'm the only single person in our friend group. I just think, why would anyone want to date me? I have been on like 2 or 3 dates in my life and all the time I just had these thoughts. How do I hold hands? When should you kiss? How does kissing works? Isn't it gross? What if he's only in it for the sex? I don't think I'm asexual. I'm not super ugly. I'm not super introverted. I just have massive self-esteem problems and don't want to burden anyone else with them. I mean, I could probably hook up fairly easily if I wanted to, but I'd rather stay a virgin than doing that. Whoa, I'm 24F and feel like I could have written this myself. I'm 39, still virgin. I'm not good looking enough to get obvious interest from ladies and I don't have the social skills to make up the difference. I don't want to risk being the creepy guy giving unwanted attention to attractive women, so I don't step out. Dates never go well. If women have ever made an attempt to express interest, I've missed it because it doesn't happen frequently enough for me to learn it for what it is. My friends think a nurse was hitting on me when I stayed in the hospital. When I said I was an easygoing patient, she jokingly asked if I wanted to wait till her shift ended before being discharged, and then she mentioned in the elevator ride that I could see a movie now that I'm out. She was younger and way more attractive than I'd expect anyone interested in me to be, not to mention I was her patient, so I figured it wasn't romantic interest and ignored it. I also suspect I'm demi-romantic since it's very rare for me to crush on anyone despite feeling frequent sexual attraction to others. Lost mine at 28. Last year, I also didn't get my first kiss until I was 26. I had underlying anxiety and self-esteem issues that affected getting close to men. I didn't think anyone would actually want me or would care about me as much as I love and care about them. I got on antidepressants and worked with a counselor, and about 6 months after antidepressants, met my roommate's cousin and immediately slept with him because he was sweet and super attractive, and we were both into each other. That only lasted a couple months because he wanted to go back to his home state, but now I'm with a guy who I was seeing for a few months before the roommate's cousin. I had only just got on antidepressants when we first went out, and I was still very scared, so I broke things off with him even though we got along so well. And it's insane how nice it is to be with an actual partner who treats you very well and who you get along with and you love and care about. Fear kept me from that before. I had a terror of a relationship from 19-22 that scared me to try any sort of commitment ever again. I was a virgin then, still am now. Last year I just started to give dating a chance again. This January I met a very patient, fantastic, and loving man. He's helping me through the past struggles I've had, but it's gonna be a long road. Looking around for IDK, tips or advice or inspiration, because although sex sounds exciting to me, the idea of intimacy and physical contact disgusts me as much I crave it, and probably this comment I am reading is me 10 years from now. Forced to work by crappy life, I managed to pull my family through the worst times. However, I'm a zero of a person and have no possible way or reason to waste someone's time on my empty existence. Don't say that. You must be a very strong and caring person for helping your family through hard things. That's definitely a quality. I really hope someone out there will value that about you because you deserve it. Not me, but my friend was adopted by her religious single mother who always said no sex before marriage. Right before my friend got married, she and her mother had a heart-to-heart and her mother admitted that because she never got married, she's never had sex. Hence her adoption. I was working at Smart Tech when I met Trish, who works at We Sell Your Stuff on eBay. She was helping me sell my collectibles and we hit it off. One thing leads to another and I took my friend's virginity when he was 32. He had previously been ultra religious, waiting for marriage. He had fooled around a bunch but never done the deed. It was only when a friend asked him why he was saving it, and he replied, "I want it to be a gift I give my future wife," and she looked him dead in the face and said, "What kind of adult woman do you think would consider that a gift?" That he decided he wanted to lose his V card. Then he made up for a lot of lost time. Want it to be a gift I give my future. That is one of the creepy parts of religion in society. We hold it to a standard which is ridiculous. This is my cousin, late 40s, full dark head of Mediterranean hair, 6-figure job, in great shape. He looks at minimum 10 years younger than his actual age. Every girl at church or in local cultural groups would want to date him, but it never panned out ever beyond maybe a couple dates. This dude would come over at the dead of night to help pick you up or fix your car even when he has work at 5 o'clock in the morning. Just pure selflessness, so it never made sense as to how he just couldn't date any longer than a few dates for any girl. I'm convinced he's a closet homosexual and will never come out due to his overbearing Christian upbringing, and it sucks because he would be the absolute perfect partner. I was a loser in high school and figured nobody would want me. Got a girlfriend in college who proved the point by having sex with another guy. Every time I ask someone out, they say they'd rather be friends, and I'm not confident to pull off a one-night stand. I don't think I'd want to anyway. Sometimes I think I could be asexual because it really doesn't bother me that much. I'm 40-year retarded loser. Wasted youth with TV and PC. Should have hang out more with school friends and learn to be a decent person and build a social network and have a lot of friends. Missed a lot of opportunities. Most likely I would still be a virgin if not for this girl who got obsessed why I was the only guy not paying attention to her while playing online games together for almost a year. From like 15 people in Discord, she was the only girl and always busy talking in multiple private chats with guys hitting on her. She started stalking me on social media, found out my phone number and started calling me. At first I couldn't believe that any of this was real until she drove to my town and we stayed in a hotel for a night. We talked and walked around the town and after a few hours went back to hotel room. Nothing happened. And there I was, sleeping right next to her half naked. Almost said goodnight and went to sleep, but erection kicked in. My body just took over and said, "You are too stupid to be here right now." We had sex for 2 weeks, few hours every day before I drove her home. Day after that I drove after her and we lived together for almost 2 years. I was 26 and she was 20 at the time. Crazy to think that I almost fell asleep in that hotel room. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.